Welcome to Visions of Success Internet Talk Radio. I'm your host, Dr. Fred Simkovsky. You know, someone once said that success is 10% inspiration and 90% perspiration. Well, I believe that you need just as much inspiration, if not more, than just perspiration. I mean, after all the sweat in the world isn't going to make you successful unless you are inspired. This is the place to go to seek insights, inspiration, advice, tricks, tips on how to attain the life and career success you've always dreamed of, wanted, and desired.
Today, I am here with a very special featured guest, Justin Brown. Let me tell you who Justin is, because this man is amazing. He is a well-known speaker and diversity instructor in the field of higher education. He currently works as a resident director at Westchester University in Westchester, Pennsylvania. Now, and this is the important part for today's conversation. Justin created the Diversity Awareness Program, a program dedicated to raising awareness and educating college campuses about the importance of diversity and the embracing of all cultures and backgrounds. D.A.P has successfully grown in popularity, having visited over 100 colleges and universities and over 20 chapters established within those institutions. In other words, Justin gets it, and he's having other people get the idea that we live in a multicultural life and we've got to get along with each other. Justin, how are you today?
Hey, Doc Fred, I'm doing well. How are you doing today? Happy New Year to you.
Excellent. Now, today we're going to talk about bridging the gap when multicultural competence meets a real reality. Now, to me, this is most important today. With everything going on in the world, especially in this country, especially with this God help us, presidential campaign that's going on, diversity is even more important than it has ever been. When you take a look at what's happening in Chicago and even in Pennsylvania, I mean, this is really a hot issue that needs to be explained. So let's do it this way. How did D.A.P, Diversity Awareness Program, come about, and did you ever expect it to be this popular?
Well, Doc Fred, thank you again for having me on the show. D.A.P, how did it come about, and did I expect it to be this popular? Well, when I was a sophomore in my undergraduate institution is Slippery Rock University, and yes, that does exist. It's about an hour outside. Yeah, I get that question. I get that response a lot. Great institution. Love my time there. I received my undergraduate degree in public relations. Slippery Rock, PA is about an hour outside of Pittsburgh. And while I was there, being in a new environment that wasn't really that diverse, I learned a lot of interesting things, not only about myself, but about people. And we had a couple incidents that happened on campus where I was looking for the administration to respond in a way that would be positive and provide student development for the students who were there, and I didn't really see anything. And coming from Coatesville, PA, where I grew up outside the Philadelphia area, it's very diverse, Dr. Fred, very diverse. So
sure.
I've always had individuals in my class who didn't look like me from different cultures, backgrounds, creeds, nationalities, religions, sexual orientation. So for me to go to an area where everyone looked the same except for me, this was a brand new experience. So I had a couple incidents that happened while I was on campus. One I particularly remember is someone writing on a trash can, "Go home, Nigers." To add injury to insult, they didn't even spell the N-word correctly.
Right.
But
shows you how
I was
uneducated they were.
Absolutely. But I was looking for a response from the administration, and while there was some, I don't think it was enough and it wasn't impactful. And I knew how my friends and I carried ourselves, and I said, you know what, it would be really beneficial if we were to take the things that we talk about and spread it all around campus. So what we did was I created this program called Diversity Awareness Program, where essentially individuals will come to this workshop for about an hour, and we'll play games and activities, role play, social experiments, and team builders, all surrounding around diversity awareness and multiculturalism. And who doesn't like games, Doc Fred?
Exactly.
So, and we had this program once a week for an entire semester, and we had an average of 80 students coming to this program a week. And it just changed the campus climate. It changed the residence hall, the dining halls. People who you would probably never see hanging together were now creating friendships and long-lasting relationships. Did I expect that it was going to be this popular? Absolutely not. At the time, as a sophomore, I just wanted to make a student program. I didn't know it was going to be something that was going to be so significant and so life-changing. It wasn't until other institutions started contacting me saying, this is perfect, we've been trying to do this, what's your model, how do we recreate this thing, and how do we zone in on those key principles and key learning outcomes that you're honing on to bring in interest from students. So when I started getting contacted, I just thought it was so surreal, but now that it's in full swing, I take a look back, and no, I wouldn't say I expected it to be this popular, but I'm very glad that it is.
Yeah, and I think this is one of these things, it's just like anything when it comes to marketing. If you got the right subject at the right time, okay, it just blows, okay? And it's always way above your expectations. A number of years ago, I had joined a new company, and I was supposed to be responsible for training and development, and working with a lot of the managers there, I said, oh God, these people really need to learn how to handle people. So I created a management training program, and the thing I had everybody right up to the president of the company attending the classes, and he insisted all the managers have to do it, and the managers to their supervisors. I mean, before I knew it, I had a program that was so big, okay, that a whole bunch of other companies were asking for the program. So sometimes it's just a matter of serendipity. You're at the right place at the right time with the right subject, and you know what? This subject, diversity, it's timeless. It's timeless. I mean, this country that we live in, this wonderful USA, okay, they've been fighting this thing for, oh my God, decades, okay? And there are some days we feel we really made it, and other days it's like, oh my God, where it's almost like one step forward and two steps back, okay? So, give us an idea. How has your program, this diversity awareness program, really impacted colleges and universities that you have visited and helped set up these programs?
Yeah, absolutely. Dr. When I think about it, I think it's really interesting when institutions bring me in because I have my master's in student affairs and higher education, so I'm working with students all the time, particularly students in the multicultural field. But other institutions, colleges, and universities already have individuals on their campuses who are already doing this work. So I always ask, what's the thing about this that makes it different? Normally when I see diversity presentations, I see them in one of three ways. I see some that are so theoretical that, Dr. Fred, they go over the heads of most students.
Yeah.
In one ear, not the other ear. Most students are like, blah, 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 another lecture.
Right.
And they're getting that in class, so it's not really impactful. I've seen some where institutions bring in a speaker, but they only talk about black and white issues. And there are way more many students and demographics who are just black and white students. I mean, what about our Native American students, our Hispanic students, our Asian students, our transgender students, gay, lesbian? What about our veterans? What about our students with disabilities? Ones that are seen, ones that are not seen. We're forgetting about all those. So when those students don't feel that they're in the loop, the message isn't really getting to everybody. And then the most horrible one, Doc Fred, that I've seen plenty of times is they grab someone of color, they bring them into these sessions, and they kind of go on this, well, white people should feel guilty for what they did, and it just creates a whole white guilt thing. But then the black students or the students of color leave feeling, empowered, and all the white students leave feeling guilty or angered, saying, well, I'm not responsible for these things, and it just creates more divide. So when you talk...
Go ahead.
Oh, go ahead.
No, go
so
ahead.
When you talk about the impact, it's how things are presented and how the students gravitate to them. So one thing that I know throughout my travels is that students really enjoy competition, games, team builders, icebreakers, and role plays. So if you can create something that is fun, high energy, entertaining, and satisfying to students, they will listen and they will participate. So when you ask me, what's the impact? I think earlier in your intro you said that there have been 20 chapters of this program that have been established. Very much like I did in my undergrad, there are 20 institutions that have programs that they host each week. And I do follow-ups with a lot of those schools, and they've said that people in their residence halls have changed their preference of where they're living. They're not just living with someone that they know. When you walk into your dining hall, you're seeing all types of students hanging out together. When you're walking in classrooms, you're no longer seeing all the students of color in the back. They're all spread out now. And that the campuses are becoming more of a unified demographic or a unified community, and that's what we're looking for.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. That one company I was talking about that I did all that management training, it was a global company. So like I was addressing managers in Shanghai, in Tokyo, in India, in France, in Germany, all over Canada, in the US. I mean, it was all over. So when you talk about inclusion, okay, when you walked into my office in the morning and you walked through over the floor to see who was out there, it was like being in the United Nations, okay?
Wow.
And you have to be able to deal with everybody. The one thing I've learned, and this I'm sure you're teaching also, okay, the fact of the matter is we can't do this stuff alone. We rely on everybody. And we really depend on each other. And it all starts with being able to communicate, okay? And that means you have to understand the other person's perspective. And that's really what diversity is about, isn't it? It's about the other person's perspective, no matter who they are, where they're from, what their culture is, and what their religion or anything else, isn't it?
Absolutely. Perspective is everything.
Yeah, and when you start teaching, and I'm sure you do it in your games and your activities just like I used to do, okay, when I was really fully into training and development, it really became the thing that people forgot who they were looking at, who they were dealing with, and people started to really understand that they got it. The one thing I always used to teach about communication, you got to learn how to shut up to be able to listen. Okay?
Absolutely.
Because everybody's
we call that learn to unlearn.
Exactly, because everybody's talking at each other, but no one's listening most of the time. And I think that's what, if anything else, I think that's what your diversity awareness program, and tell me if I'm wrong, that's what I think it's promoting. It's promoting that idea that there's other perspectives out there, and you got to spend more than 5 minutes, okay, listening to the other person or the other group or the other whatever, okay, to really understand who they are. Absolutely.
It goes beyond tolerance. I know a lot of diversity speakers teach on tolerance. You gotta do more than just tolerate someone. My message is that you don't necessarily have to agree with what someone's saying, but you have to be able to embrace. Because, Dr. Fred, I'll tell you, in the sessions, it's only about 20% me. I'm there as the facilitator. I'm there to engage in the activities and set the activities up. But it's 80% the students, and this is why it's such a great thing for me to be able to travel. And no one learns more in the sessions than me. Because wherever I go to a different university or college or Fortune 500 company with adults, or if I'm working with a police unit as they're doing diversity training. It's just different perspectives give you different answers. So it's about 80% of participants. So I never see the same session, which keeps it very upbeat and very new for me each time.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. When I was traveling to Shanghai and Tokyo and to France and to India, every place I went, it was different. Okay, when I went to Shanghai, okay, which is basically a communist country, okay,
Mm-hmm.
and I had to teach them management training and how they have to let their employees talk to them and give them ideas. And one of the managers says, "Oh, we can't do that here." And I said, "Why can't you do that here?" And he said, "Because managers are in charge, and the employees just got to do as they're told." And I said, "Well, let me bring your vice president in." And I brought the vice president, and I said, "Let these people know what we're trying to advocate here and change in the company." And he told them.
Yes.
And after he told them, they looked at me and they said, and this gentleman said to me, "So everybody has a say." I said, "You got it. Everybody has a say, and why?" And he said to me, "Well, because when you get everybody else's opinion, it seems as though what we're learning here is there is a much better outcome at the end." I said, "You got it. You got it." And after 10 days of being there, only about 3 days was training, and again, like you do, all games, all hands-on, how to get it done. Okay, they didn't want me to go. Why? Because they were starting to come with their problems to me, and they expected me to resolve all their problems. Now,
Absolutely.
fortunately,
Absolutely.
I'm a certified life and career coach, so I had no problem with that.
It's amazing.
But before I left, that vice president who asked me to come to Shanghai thanked me so much, because by the end of the 10 days, okay, he could see a change in what was happening on the work floor, okay, and I haven't even left the building. And
Mm-hmm.
and I think that's what you're finding, okay? When you get one of these programs going in an organization, I'm sure they're coming back to you and telling you what a great thing it is.
Absolutely. Well, I really have a great time when I go back to institutions, but some of them have some expectations that are pretty high, Doc Fred. I mean, they have, I also do diversity auditing, or like a campus climate audit.
Okay.
Usually something bad has happened on a campus. They call me and they say, "Hey, Justin, we need you to come in and we need you to fix it." And my thing is that a lot of these things that are happening, Doc Fred, cannot be fixed overnight. These are things that have
Yes.
prolonged for a really long time. Students have pent-up aggression and have some anger and sadness towards some of these things that are happening, and then it was that one thing that tipped the iceberg over and everybody exploded. So me coming in one time is not going to help. So I'll travel to different departments and get everybody's dirt, so to say, on things
Yes.
that need to be better and things that need to change. And then I get into upper administration and I say, "Hey, these are the things that people are suggesting need to change." And I'll either get one or two things. I'll get something where, "Well, yeah, we can do that. That's great. Let's go ahead and move this forward." Or, "We can't do that." "Well, that's not something we can do." "Well, I don't know why this was brought up." It has to be a conjoined effort by everybody. Everybody has to put their best effort forward in order to make changes that happen. But if individuals can take personal responsibility, because everybody's at fault. Dr. Fred, one of the questions I asked during the session, I said, "If you're prejudiced, please stand up." And there will be like one or two people that stand up. And I say, "Oh, well, I guess no one in here has ever judged anyone their entire life." And then everybody stands up.
Yeah.
No one wants to be the scapegoat.
Yes.
No one wants to be viewed as a racist or someone who has discrimination. But we got to get to a point to say, look, we all suffer from that. I'm a diversity facilitator, diversity trainer, and I have my own personal bias and my own personal prejudice about some things. But it's the ability to be able to work through those things, learn to unlearn, that moves us from where we are to where we need to be.
Now, my next question is, so, you go to these colleges, and I'm sure you run into the same problem that I run in because I did management consulting for a good 10 years. Okay, you get that program started, you got everybody involved, and then maybe you come back 6 months to a year from now, okay, and it's like, wait a minute. I thought I was here last year. Okay,
Hmm.
how have you found that how have the colleges and universities continued what you've been able to start with them?
Well, here's the thing, Doc Fred. There's another service that I offer, and that's to create a chapter of the program. So very
Ah,
similar to what I did in undergrad, where we would meet once a week. And what I'm
ah,
doing now in a 2-hour period, we're now doing once a week. I wrote a book my junior year called Diversity Awareness, the Manual for a Better Tomorrow. And in that manual, there are 30 different workshops that I've made. So when I go and do the one-time speaking, I'm just taking the best activities and team builders and icebreakers out of that book for whatever is going on at the college. But when they start a chapter, students and administration can meet once a week and simply follow the workbook and have everyone in attendance. See, that's what's most important. It's not just important that I come one time. It was a really fun session where everyone was able to speak and it was in a safe place and it was a lot of fun. Then I leave and things continue to be the same way before I came. What's essential is to leave something there that creates a total climate change. So through the chapter, students have these workshops each week, but they also create late night programming where students can come at night and there's some type of diversity movie playing. Or, one time we had a Fresh Prince marathon. Everybody loves Will Smith, but all
sure.
the episodes had to deal with race and culture, multiculturalism and difference between others. And after the show was over, we were able to pick those things apart and say, hey, what's going on? Very controversial show. The Family Guy, people love that show and it's funny, but if you actually really take a step back and look at it from different eyes, what are some of the messages that we're seeing?
Yeah, yeah.
Is it sending us the right stereotypes? Is this how we're learning the messages that we convey to our peers and colleagues every day? And then they create bigger programs where they can bring other people in, and it just goes to start changing the campus. I know one campus in particular that has the program. They have created diversity campaigns, or they have diversity week, and they have these big programs, and they're
Wow.
doing a lot of passive programming as well as sending messages. Like their university has a civility statement, but now they're changing the way that individuals see the civility statement and how it conducts their lives. So creating a chapter has been really beneficial, and that's how most of the universities have continued the multicultural practices learned through the D.A.P. program.
Excellent, excellent. So, for our last question here to do some wrap up, so what do you hope participants leave after attending, any of your DAP sessions?
Well, I hope that participants leave with a better understanding of diversity, multiculturalism, and inclusion. I don't expect an individual to be completely transformed because of my program. Although I do have a lot of participants come up and say, "Oh my gosh, this is the best thing I've ever been through." Because Doc Fred, when you hear diversity on college campuses, people are like, "Oh,
Yeah, I know.
not again. Oh, diversity training. Oh, this." I'm trying to bring it in a different light. So it's fun from beginning all the way to the end. So what I hope that students at least learned one thing. I hope that they learn the skills and tools that they learn in the session, they're able to apply it to real life. Because I'm not teaching something that's so abstract that individuals can't grasp, and that the concept is so difficult that you're not going to be able to apply it. These are very small tweaks to things you're already doing in your life. But if you're able to take a step back and look at it differently, have a different perspective on things that are being shown and how you're receiving it, it can make all the difference in your life.
Absolutely.
I guess the biggest thing, and we do this at every one of our programs, is that I hope participants leave with an understanding that it's not just about them. We do this thing called accountability partners. And Doc Fred, did you make a New Year's resolution this year?
No. I gave that up a number of years ago. I just try to be the best person I can be, and that's the one resolution that I've always been able to keep.
Absolutely. But a lot of people make New Year's resolutions, and how long do you think it takes for them?
Oh,
I
about
say, how many
5
of you?
seconds.
Exactly. I said, how many of you have made New Year's resolutions? And everybody in the crowd raises their hand. And I said, how many of you have completed those New Year's resolutions? And everybody's hand goes down.
Yeah.
I said, the thing that I think holds us from accomplishing our goals is that we don't have individuals holding us accountable. So what I do is, and I'm telling you, I have crowds anywhere between 60, 100. My largest crowd was 3,000. I say, what I need you to find somebody that you don't know in the room, someone you've never spoken to, and everybody goes and they partner up. And I say, this is your new accountability partner while you're here at the institution. And it's most likely someone you probably never speak with. And I said, what I want you to do is to create a change or project a change that you would like to have in your life. And the person that's across from you is going to make sure that throughout life you are able to complete this goal. Now, this sounds very happy-go-lucky, oh, kumbaya, we are the world type of thing. But Dr. Fred, let me tell you how campuses start to change, because now these individuals are holding each other accountable. They're now becoming friends.
Yeah.
Individuals that are not within their circles. So we started seeing cafeterias change because people were like, well, let's go to lunch. Now you're seeing different types of people eating together. When I was a sophomore, like I said, we created this, back in 2007. We did this accountability partner, and there were two people that met. I just saw a picture on Facebook the other day. They were in each other's weddings. So these type of things really do impact students, and we want there to be impact just not at the university, but after they complete the university, because we live in a global community. It's not just what takes place on that 100-mile campus or 100-square-foot campus that you attend Monday through Friday. It's what's going to happen once you complete college that is important, because now you're going to enter back into society, and we need to make sure that the lessons that they're learning, they're applying to our global community and that they're embracing it.
Absolutely. So let me do a quick recap, because we've talked about a lot of things in this 30 minutes. First of all, Diversity Awareness Program is a program of total inclusion. It's about everybody, no matter who they are, no matter where they're from, no matter what their backgrounds are. It's about understanding each other's perspective, which means you got to really learn how to communicate by doing more listening and less talking. And of course, the last thing and the most important thing about diversity of any kind is everyone's got to get involved. It can't just be the bad ones, the good ones, the good-looking ones, the ugly ones. It's got to be everybody. It's got to be everybody. And just like you said here, with that pairing up, you really got to find somebody that maybe I can't stand that person's guts, but that's the first step. That's the first step to making a difference, is finding a way to work with that person, to talk with that person, to live with that person, okay? And as you say, you don't have to love them, okay? And you don't have to tolerate them, just understand them. Is that what we spoke about today?
Absolutely.
Okay, so
everyone has a story.
Excuse me?
I said everyone has a story.
Absolutely, and you got to listen to it. Okay, so Justin, I want you to let everybody in our audience know how they can contact you. If you got a website, where to go. Okay, so tell them about how they can be talking to Justin Brown.
Absolutely. Well, please connect with me, Student Affairs Professionals, on LinkedIn.com. Justin L. Brown. I work as a resident director at Westchester University. I'm also on Facebook. I'm also on Twitter, at capital JL Brown 11 on Twitter. And also follow me on YouTube. We have a lot of web series on there, especially for Diversity Awareness Program. But if you're interested for diversity awareness, not only in the spring, but also in the fall, for your late night programming for student activities, diversity training for residence life, multicultural offices, as well as student leadership offices, please visit our website, diversityawareness.wix.com/program.
Say that again.
That's diversityawareness.wix, and Wix is spelled WIX.com/program.
Excellent, excellent. Justin, this has been absolutely fantastic. That's why you are our special featured guest today, and I want to thank you for being on the show.
I want to thank you, Doc Fred. Thank you so much for having me. It was a privilege.
Remember to go to my website, lifecareerbusinesscoach.com, for more information and assistance you may be looking for. There is a link there for this show, Visions of Success Internet Talk Radio, where you can listen to replays and more interviews on a regular basis. And be sure to subscribe to my monthly newsletter for more great learning and insight. This show airs every Friday and was hosted by amazing Women of Power Radio Network and in conjunction with Raven International Network. Have a great day and you can get it done.